Welcome to the Carpentry and Millwright Trade Orientation. This is going to be a little presentation to give you a general idea of what you can expect if you were to join the apprenticeship as a millwright or as a carpenter, and give you an idea of what would be expected of you, and hopefully answer some of your questions about how this program works and what it has to offer for you. My name is Roger Scare. I am one of the carpenter instructors over here at the Columbia Basin Training Center in Kennewick, Washington. I've been a carpenter for about 30 years. First 15 years of my career I spent as a residential and light commercial carpenter in the non-union side of construction. It was after that I decided to join the Carpenters Union. I did that as a first period apprentice. I could have easily joined on as a journeyman with the experience and the hours that I had, but I wanted to make sure that I had the full union experience going through the apprenticeship, learning the way that we do things in the Carpenters Union and the type of work that we do in the Carpenters Union, which a lot of times is industrial and heavy commercial type of work, which is a little bit different than residential carpentry. So anyways, that's a little bit about me. Since I've been in the Carpenters Union, I went through the apprenticeship, became a journeyman. I've worked as a journeyman, a foreman, and a general foreman, and now I'm working as an instructor. I've had a very good career as a carpenter, and it really took off when I finally realized about the Carpenters Union and what it had to offer me. And I would have joined sooner, I just didn't know about it. So that's a little bit about me. So some of the qualifications for getting into the apprenticeship. We need to be 18 years of age. You can start as a 17-year-old if you have written permission from your parents. Education. It's nice if you have a high school diploma, but that's not something that's required to get into our apprenticeship. Physical. This is a physical job. Construction is physical work. You're going to be climbing ladders, carrying heavy weights, 50 pounds and sometimes even more. You're going to be working in environments such as hot, cold, windy, rainy, snowy, and you're going to be expected to perform in these conditions and get things done. It's tough work sometimes, and it's not for everybody. But if you think that this is something that appeals to you, it'll be very rewarding. So these are some of the requirements here. It's a physical job. Testing. Everybody in this trade is going to have to pass a controlled substance test. That includes any kind of drugs, including marijuana. You're going to take a drug test before you get into the apprenticeship. You're going to take a drug test prior to starting on any job. You're also going to take drug tests periodically throughout your employment, random drug tests, anytime there's an accident on the job, or sometimes they just drug test everybody on the job. My point is, you're going to be getting drug tested in this industry. You'll attend a trade orientation program. This video that you're watching right now is part of that trade orientation program. The other part of it you will do in person at one of the training centers. And that will include a math test that you will take in person, and also a physical skills test that you will be asked to do a series of tasks to demonstrate your physical capabilities of performing these tasks, and you'll be evaluated on that. So that's part of the qualifications for the apprenticeship. What do carpenters do? Traditionally, it has been thought that carpenters cut wood and nail it together with a hammer. Well, over the years, our trade has evolved into something much more than that. Yes, we still cut wood and we still nail it together. We work with just about every type of material from wood to various types of metals, composites, and we build everything from houses to schools, industrial plants, hospitals, and everything in between. Big stadiums, skyscrapers, you name it, carpenters build it. Here you can see on the screen we got some pictures of some carpenters rolling some joists on a wood-framed building. That's something that's very typical for us to do. Working at elevated situations, doing work, moving material out in the weather, and in the fresh air. Another picture here, it shows a couple of carpenters setting a column form, which should be real common work in an area where you're building multi-story concrete structures, parking structures, things of that nature. You're going to be up in the air setting things like this with a crane. Very common work for carpenters to be doing. Over here on this other picture, you see a scaffold with a material hoist on there. As a carpenter, you may be doing exterior work on this building from that scaffold, or you may build that scaffold, or you may be involved in setting up this material hoist. That's a part of the scaffold too. So there's a very wide range of things that you might be doing as a carpenter. As carpenters and construction workers, we are expected and required to work in these conditions on a regular basis. I always like to say, if you're working construction outside, a lot of the time during the year, you're either going to be hot or you're going to be cold. The key to this is being prepared for it. Having the right gear, wearing the right clothes, and having the right attitude to get through it. You know that there's a certain amount of work that needs to be done. You're going to be there for a certain amount of time. I like this picture. It shows really who we are, and it shows how tough of work can be sometimes. Tough the work can be sometimes that is expected of us. We build a lot of scaffolds in this industry. Scaffolding is one of the crafts that sometimes carpenters become very specialized in and might spend a good portion of their career building scaffolds in everything from paper mills to nuclear power plants to new construction jobs like skyscrapers and big sports arenas and stadiums. Scaffolding like this is something that we do a lot of as carpenters. It takes a lot of work to build one of these. It takes a lot of tradespeople, it takes a lot of construction workers, a lot of craftspeople, and it takes a long time throughout the course of that. And when it's done, it's really cool to have been a part of a project like this, because something like this is likely going to be there for maybe even 100 years or more. This is some pictures of a heat and air guy, a heat and air professional running duct work, an electrical professional running electrical work, a plumber running some pipes, setting up some pipes in a building. All of these things are happening inside of a building that is mostly built by carpenters, and because of that, what we do as carpenters directly affects how their job goes. We have to get our job right, or it's going to affect everything that everybody else does. Right here, it's a good little example of some of the things carpenters do. You're building all the interior walls and structures, and a lot of it is, as you can see, it might be free-form with radiuses and some of the work that we do as interior systems carpenters. Concrete form work, like these two pictures here, that's also a big portion of what we do. You look around and a lot of these big structures around the communities where we live, a lot of them are built of concrete. And if they're not built of concrete, they're certainly sitting on concrete foundations. All of those concrete structures are formed up and built by carpenters. If it's raining on you or it's really hot when you're trying to do these things, you really have to sometimes dig deep to get the job done. And that's what we do as carpenters. I'm gonna tell you too, if I didn't mention this before, construction work is not for everybody. Not everybody is cut out for this type of work. It takes a certain amount of grit and mental and physical toughness to get through what's expected and required of us on a daily basis. But if it's the type of work that appeals to you and you enjoy doing, it's very, very rewarding to be a part of it. If you're a flooring carpenter and you're spending time inside doing the flooring, you're basically always going to be on the floor. You're on solid ground. This guy here, a scaffold builder, maybe a couple 100 feet up off of the water, out in the open air building this. Sometimes working at heights like this can really make a person uncomfortable, and some people simply cannot do it. Some people can gradually work their way into working in that situation. Some people are just naturals at it. Some people really enjoy it. The reality is that work has to be done. Here we show they're setting up a diver, getting ready to go in. If you're in the pile drivers, which is part of carpentry, pile drivers do a lot of work over water. and in water, and that includes a lot of diving, doing structural and welding work. So you can be working inside, outside, or underwater as a carpenter. We do a lot of work with heavy equipment and cranes to move our material around. Here's a pile driver up on a drilling rig or a pile driving rig to get some work done. Pile drivers are generally carpenters that build structures for bridges and piers and drive piles for large structures to sit on the ground to carry great amounts of weight. Pile drivers do a lot of the big heavy work in our industry. Some of the benefits of union membership: the pay. On top of the pay that we receive as union carpenters, we also get health insurance as a union member. Our employers pay an hourly rate into an insurance fund in order to keep our health insurance active as union members. As long as we're working, we're going to have health insurance, and it's really, really good health insurance. And it's not just for the worker, it's for your family, for you, your wife, your husband, your kids. It doesn't matter if you have 8 kids, they're all going to be equally insured. A retirement and a pension. Our employers also pay into a retirement and pension plan, which basically the idea there is after a career of working 20, 30, 40 years in this industry, you reach retirement age, there's going to be a pension for you there. So when you're ready to stop working and retire, you're still going to have an income for the rest of your life. So you can enjoy the benefits of having worked so hard. You can enjoy your life now and still have income coming in as a retirement. Low cost education. In this apprenticeship, we're going to teach you how to do this trade. We're going to teach you the skills that you need to be a productive journeyman in this trade. How it works is you'll start off as a first period apprentice, and then about every 3 months, we're going to take you off the job and give you 40 hours of training in another area of our trade. As a general carpenter, that might be metal stud framing, or concrete formwork, or scaffold building, or print reading, or layout. There are 16 different classes you'll go through over a period of 4 years. There'll be some hands-on training in the shop where you build projects. There'll be some classroom training. There'll be some online training that is computer-based as well. This training doesn't cost you anything. Throughout your training, there are a couple of books that are required for the rigging class, which has to do with cranes and material hoisting. First aid classes, you have to buy a book for those. Very low cost. You also, while you're going through this apprenticeship, these classes you're taking, this training, also does gain you some college credits, which are recognized through our college system. We are accredited, so if you want to use those credits to move forward to get something like a degree as an associate in applied science, associates in applied science degree, you can move forward to that. You can even take it to the next level and get a bachelor's degree in construction management. So going through the apprenticeship does get you some of those credits you're going to need. Actually, a lot of the credits that you're going to need for that first degree. And it doesn't cost you anything to do that, as opposed to going to college for that same degree from start to finish would cost you quite a bit of money. And at the end of your college degree, just going to college, there's no guarantee you're going to have a job. As you go through the apprenticeship, you're working the whole time. So you're earning money instead of spending money for your education. I hope that makes sense. Membership in the Brotherhood. As union members, we all come together, getting fair pay, getting good job conditions, being treated fairly by our employers. At the same time, we come together to make sure that we are all sharing the skills and teaching each other and elevating each other's skill levels up so that we're bringing to the job site the very best carpenter, the very best worker that is available in the industry. Being a part of that brotherhood has given us the ability to go to the level of where we are now as far as professionalism, skill, pay, and benefits. Safety. The most important thing on any job is your safety. our safety, making sure that everybody goes home in good condition. If there's an unsafe situation on a job, we truly want it brought to the attention of the coworkers, the union, and the contractor. And these situations get addressed, and we make sure that you're working in the safest environment possible. Benefits, we talked about that a little bit. You know, the pay is one of the benefits. The health insurance is a benefit. The retirement is a benefit. All of these are benefits of working as a union carpenter. Journeyman upgrade classes. Once you've completed the apprenticeship and you're a journeyman carpenter, that doesn't mean that you're done learning. We have classes on weekends and at other times of the year where we offer what we call journeyman upgrade classes. Maybe it will be for a hoisting and rigging certification. Maybe it's to learn how to or become qualified to operate an aerial lift or a powered industrial lift truck. First aid classes, layout classes, print reading classes, total station classes. These are some of the classes we offer as journeyman upgrade. As a journeyman, you can still learn. This industry is always advancing. There are always new technologies and new skills that are needed to bring to the job site. And as a good journeyman in this trade, it is good for the journeyman and it is good for the union for us to always be seeking to learn new skills and have more knowledge to bring to the job site. These are some benefits of union membership. So in the apprenticeship, when you start off as a first period apprentice, obviously you're not going to have a lot of experience in this trade and you're not going to know a lot of the complex skills that are expected for a journeyman to know. So you're going to start off with lower skilled tasks. That may be material handling, that may be stacking lumber, that may be maybe even cleaning up the job site, which may seem like it's not learning something about carpentry, but the reality is we need to be familiar with the materials. We need to be familiar with the job site. We need to just be in that environment for a while to become comfortable working in that type of environment so that we can be aware of what's going on around us. As you begin to learn things from the journeyman that you work with, you'll learn more skills. You'll get better and better at things. You will get the opportunity to work on things on your own here and there and start demonstrate your skills. And as you get better, you will be expected to handle more complex tasks, just like anything you're getting trained in. When you're on these jobs, every journeyman you work with he's a teacher, he's a trainer. As a journeyman, his job is to elevate the apprentice and teach you everything they know so that you can become as good a carpenter as them. We're going to put you in a safer environment, safer tasks, till you become more experienced and you can demonstrate that you understand and can employ the safety practices that we take so important in this trade. Be at the bottom of the food chain as an apprentice. What that means is that you may be asked to do some of the mundane work on the job, or you may be asked to work on the extra hour at the end of the day cleaning up or something like that, and you'll be expected to do that as an apprentice. One thing I want to tell you is that as an apprentice, the apprenticeship, it's a 4-year apprenticeship, but that time really goes by fast. And then you're going to be a journeyman. So don't ever take it the wrong way when they're asking you to do what people might think is the crappy work or the mundane work. That's part of the apprenticeship, and as you get through that, you're going to be a better carpenter because of it. Professionalism is required no matter what level. Historically, construction workers are often viewed as dirty, rough, and unskilled people that couldn't make it through college or whatever. The reality is we're construction professionals. The work that we do requires a great deal of understanding, knowledge, and skill. And we have to act as professionals on the job, no matter what job it is. So the apprenticeship, it's a 4-year program, 8,000 hours of training and working to get through it. When you get done with the apprenticeship and you become a journeyman, that is nationally recognized through the industry, and you're going to get a journeyman certificate and card that is recognized by the United Brotherhood of Carpenters and the Labor and Industries. So this is nationally recognized. When you become a journeyman through this program, you're a real carpenter, journeyman, and you're going to be able to start on any new job as a journeyman at that scale, and you will be expected to hit the ground running with the skills and knowledge to be productive on the job from day one. I kind of covered this already. Once you become an apprentice in this program, you'll be registered at a community college. The apprenticeship is tuition free. We covered that. If you go to college for a degree, you're going to pay tuition, maybe $20,000 a year or even more. When you're going through the apprenticeship, you don't pay for your education. That's part of what we do as an apprenticeship. We put you to work and we train you. So 8 periods of advancement, what that means is as a first period apprentice, you will start out at 60% of journeyman scale. Once you've worked for 850 hours on the job and gone to 80 hours of training at the training center, which takes about 6 months on average, then you will go from first period to second period, and you'll get a 5% increment raise, which means you'll go from 60 to 65% of journeyman scale. After you've worked 1,000 hours, you'll start paying into that, your employer will start paying into that pension, and that's what I talked about before as far as building that pension towards your retirement. Earn while you learn. I talked about that already. Basically, you're on the job learning from journeymen while you're earning a wage. Free education. It's a decent wage with health benefits and a pension. Carpenters make pretty decent money, especially if you compare union carpenters to non-union carpenters. Our wages are better, and most non-union companies don't even offer things like health insurance and pensions. I'm not saying all of them don't, but on the average, they generally don't. This is a career opportunity. I really want you to think about this here. Going through this apprenticeship, this isn't something we want you to just think, hey, maybe I want to go through this until I learn how to build my own house and then I'm going to quit and go do something else. This benefits us all if this looks like something that you want to do as a career. You want to start going through the apprenticeship and work in this industry for the next 20, 30, or 40 years. This is an opportunity for you to do that and make a good living the entire time. Okay. In Washington State, we have several training centers. Kennewick, where I'm at right now, we got one in Spokane, got one in Mount Vernon, or actually that one is now in Burlington, got one in Renton, Kent, and South Puget Sound in DuPont is our newest training center. All these training centers offer very high level of training, depending on where the area of you live and where you work, will determine which training center that you go to for your training. Next steps. Once you've finished this orientation and gone to the training center, taken the math test and taken the hands-on skills assessment, it's going to take some time for you to get an interview, and then some more time for you to be indentured into the union, and some more time for you to get on your first job. So don't quit your job right now. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep taking the steps that you're asked to take to get into the apprenticeship, and this will evolve as time goes on. So right now you're at the first step. You've got the ball rolling. It's going to take some time, but just be patient and we'll get you through this.